Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now this is a quick video to demonstrate how GTA 4, one of the most notorious PC ports of all time, runs with the RTX 3070. Since getting this card, this has been one of the most requested game tests, likely because of how badly it runs with other hardware that we've tested on this channel in the past. Now we've tested it with numerous graphics cards and experienced performance issues. The last patch for this game was back in 2018, and admittedly that fixed things to some degree depending on which graphics card I used, and then it got removed from Steam entirely before making a return with some missing radio stations and lack of multiplayer. It does seem to run quite well with the RTX 3070 and i5-10400F though, at least better than I thought. This is notorious for being a bad PC port, which is why the performance can be unpredictable. I've spoken to some people who have got solid performance out of a Core 2 Quad and 9800 GTX, and others who can't play it smoothly even with a 1050 Ti. Here I'm playing with the default settings at 1080p, which sets most things to high, but keeps the detail sliders fairly low, which seems to be the key to retaining smooth frame rates. Hitting over 100 FPS almost constantly here isn't a problem for this configuration, even though the game isn't utilising my CPU or GPU to their full extents. But this game came out 12 years ago. Surely with the latest technology we can max it out and still experience a smooth frame rate, right? Well, opting for the absolute highest settings means that our frame rate does stay pretty high in terms of the average figure, but we are still seeing a couple of drops below 60 as referenced by the 1% low, and the 0.1% low also indicates some stutter. If we change the scenery slightly and make our way over the bridge to the middle island, then the game will actually drop to the mid-30s for a moment, though as we get away from the cop cars and drive towards Star Junction and Middle Park, the frame rate will even out once more, though our average will be a bit lower than it was around the Hove Beach area. That being said, there are also some key areas of the first island that will tank the frame rates even with this modern i5 and RTX combo. Personally, I think the game still looks good for its age, and the single player story is still well worth a play, even in 2020. This is the reason why I still test it and speak about it every now and then. It holds up very well story-wise and far better performance-wise than it used to, it seems, but there are still clearly some issues. If we boost things up to 4K using Nvidia DSR on my 1080p monitor, then we see slightly reduced frame rates, but interestingly there is less stutter, perhaps because at a higher internal resolution a heavier load is shifted to the GPU, which seems to be beneficial to this normally CPU-intensive title. Back on the first island here, and things certainly look a bit sharper, with the jagged lines reduced again as well. One particularly demanding area seems to be this corner, where we catch a glimpse at Algonquin skyscrapers. Again, it's the detail distance sliders that cause these dips, as the buildings are rendered in higher detail at a further distance, and even the higher GPU load can't save us from the dips here. If, like at 1080p, we then move to the middle island, the bridge scene gives us very similar results, and the 0.1% result is still better than the respective 1080p result was here. Things begin to iron out once again as we make our way toward the inner city, or at least that's what I tried to do before getting wiped out by the cops. So there you go, GTA 4, a classic title played with a modern i5, 16 gigs of 2666 MHz DDR4 and an RTX 3070. It certainly runs better in 2020 than it's ever done, but even with some serious power inside your PC case, it won't be a perfect experience all the way through. This isn't the usual sort of video we do on this channel. I mean, the RTX 3070 isn't exactly a budget focused card, but for some reason, since showcasing this card in comparison to my 1080 Ti in a previous video, this has been a pretty heavily requested game, probably due to how notoriously bad it runs on some configurations, so I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. If you did, leave a like on this video down below. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Let me know how it runs on your system, especially if you have a new RTX series card and are experiencing some problems. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one.